Welcome, everybody, and welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. Welcome, fellow rock dwellers. Welcome, fellow dregs to society. Welcome to your home. Welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. And joining me today as my co-host is the patriot from the battle-born state, the silver state of Nevada, and that's my good friend Sharon Angle. Sharon, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. Great to see you again, my friend.
Thank you so much, Rick. I really enjoyed our time at CPAC, of course, but it is good to be back in the groove. And of course, I always have mixed feelings going to CPAC because I see them as more libertarian than really conservative, which means that they embrace some of the things I don't really embrace. And I know that there's many conservatives who have just given it up altogether and said that they will not put their money toward an effort where they feel like it's fighting against them. That's kind of how I feel about Fox News too.
Well, we can talk about Fox News. We can talk about our new entity, the American Uncensored News Network, who the Conservative Commandos is a part of. And again, we're trying to build that network to the right of Fox. And we talked to a lot of people about it at CPAC. And they said, to the right of Fox, that's not very hard to do anymore these days.
It isn't. Our good friend Dana Allen is the brains behind Newsmax, and now he's the brains behind AUN TV Network, America Uncensored News. And Dana came up with a fact that we all were just stunned by, and that is that Fox sold to Disney. Well, we all know exactly the direction that Disney's been going for the last few years, ever since Walt Disney died, and the company's been taken over by others. We haven't seen the quality of family values coming out of Disney that we were used to. And again, now they're in charge of Fox. So what can we expect? But,
that's putting the fox in charge of the hen house.
Right. Well, I didn't like it much when Murdoch, the Democrat, was owning it. But now that Disney owns it, I think it's stand by. Our days with conservative commentators at Fox are probably numbered. In fact, Jeanine Pirro, I know that Judge Pirro's been on our show, and I listen to her every week. I like to hear her rants sometimes, and she ranted this weekend about Ilhan Omar and her hijab. And what does that mean? She just asked the question, what does that mean? Does that mean that because she wears the hijab, which is a part of Sharia law for women, does that mean that Ilhan Omar puts the Quran or Sharia law above the Constitution? Here she is, a first-generation American. She's the daughter of immigrants who came here seeking asylum. And now she's really embracing this whole Muslim situation, which is fine. I mean, that's her religion. We have the First Amendment still, which allows us the freedom of religion. But Pirro is questioning her ability to serve in the Congress if she has not taken her oath seriously. Remember, they raised the red hand and pledge to support that Constitution. I had to take it in my state legislature. So when you take that pledge and honor that pledge, is there something that comes before that? And that's all Judge Pirro was asking. Does, where do her loyalties lie? And I think that's a perfectly legitimate question to ask anyone.
Very good question.
Where do loyalties lie?
That's what I think the news media should be doing, is asking questions like that. But they only seem to ask the question when it pertains to a Republican, Sharon Angle, not a Democrat. You can't touch the Democrats. And, of course, you have the minorities that, you cannot go near a minority legislature because you get tagged with racist, homophobe, sexist, Islamophobe. You get tagged with all those. Look how the left has gone after politicians on the right, like Donald Trump, like Louis Gohmert, like Stephen King. They go after them all the time. Oh, but you can't touch a Democrat. Can't touch a Democrat. About the hijab, I just wanted to say one thing about that, Sharon. Several years ago, I was in Egypt, and we had a tour guide, and she was Muslim, and on certain days she wore the hijab, and certain days she didn't. And I asked her about it, and she says it's not really part of Shia law; it's just a personal choice. So anyone who says to you, "Well, it's part of my religion, part of Sharia law," well, you might say, "Well, in Christianity, you can wear a cross or you cannot wear a cross. That's up to you." But it isn't necessarily directly in Shia law that it must be worn by women. So,
well, interestingly, Janine Pirro pointed out that it is there. It's one of their protections for women. The hijab is worn by women to protect them from assault. And and she named the scripture verse out of the Quran. So I guess there's a bit of a thought there, whether it is part of it or not. I guess it depends on the Muslim, what part of their law they adhere to
or interpret it.
Yeah. And so, but I think the other question is, when you're so forward about this, then there's the legitimate question: where do your loyalties lie? Well, Great Fox question. Condemned Janine Pirro. They just said, that's not our views. We don't support that, and we condemn her. And so then, of course, Representative Ilhan Omar came back and thanked Fox for condemning Janine Pirro. And when you talk about how they treat us as conservatives, think about what they did with the president when he came out on the CPAC stage and hugged the flag.
Yes.
They called him a crazy man for loving his country. They also said he had gone completely unhinged because he gave a 3-hour speech to the CPAC crowd. Well, the CPAC crowd loved him, and they wanted to hear from him. And so he was off script, I have to admit. He came out, he saw a friendly crowd, and he just gave us his opinions on everything. And it took him 3 hours. Hey, some people sat through it. I know that there were a few that had to go to the bathroom. Well, I know one person in
particular that did it, and that was you.
Yeah, I did. There were probably around 1,500, maybe a few more in that auditorium. And I would say half of those were young people, which is really, really encouraging to me. We stayed at a hotel where we saw busloads come in. I think there were 5 busloads of them. Mm-hmm. So, it is interesting how the left takes this and says he's a crazy man, he's come unhinged. But when Janine Pirro just questions where do people's loyalties lie, of course, then she's the racist and the bigot. But as you pointed out, we're pretty close here to Christian persecution in this country, because if you're a Christian, that brings on this pushback that we get for
just look at the young man from Kentucky who was accosted by a liberal group in Washington a few weeks ago. He was there with a Christian group, and right away, all the media jump all over him that he was attacking this quote-unquote Vietnam veteran. Well, come to find out, this man wasn't a Vietnam veteran, and come to find out, this man actually was the person that was doing the accosting. He was not the accosted. But no, it's always the rush to judgment. It's always the rush to judgment to criticize a Christian and to criticize Christianity.
Well, and they've become violent. We had Hayden Williams on our show. We did an interview with him, and of course, the president acknowledged him and acknowledged the attack that he was under on our college campuses. They didn't agree with him, so they socked him in the eye. And now, of course, he has brought charges against that fellow. So, and I say more power to him. You know, the law is the law.
Yeah, bring charges not only against him, but against the university that it took place at. I think that they're responsible, that they should guarantee the right to speak. And regardless of your opinions, I think you have the right to speak. And if it's in a public setting like the Lincoln Memorial or in a university or a college campus, I think that those people should be protected. Their rights should be protected, no matter what side they come from. You know, we are a country of freedom of speech, and that must be protected. So I hope he's successful against his attacker. I also hope he's successful against the university.
I would like to put a little plug in here for Conservative Commandos radio show, because we did do a bunch of the highlights from the CPAC. We had some terrific interviews, and those highlights, if you would like to be a recipient of Conservative Commandos radio show, you just ask us to be put on our email list. We'll email that right out to you. We did our highlights, and of course you can go to our website and get those highlights. But if you'd like to be on our email list, we send those out to the folks that are on our email list every day.
Yep,
we send out
right to your inbox.
That's right, so that you can listen to us on your time.
Yep.
rather than trying to figure out when it's going to come on the radio or TV. And you know, Rick, I think with that, we're about ready to go to a commercial break for those sponsors that really help us.
Thank God for them, and thank God for the people that support our sponsors that help keep us going. But you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel. Yes, that's Sharon Engel, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. Once again, we have three great guests joining us today on today's show, and on the other side, we'll fill you in on who our guests are and the topics for conversation. We'll be right back.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
My healthcare costs were going to double this year.
Doubled. It was down to healthcare or my student loans.
I found a better way.
It's neighbors helping neighbors.
Liberty Health Share.
It's freedom from insurance.
At Liberty Health Share, we support each other and keep health costs down.
We're changing the way you're paying for health care.
This is the way it should be.
We're all in this together.
We're changing the way you pay for health care.
The movement to help each other is growing.
Liberty
Health Share.
This is the way it should be.
This is how I make a difference.
Healthcare costs are skyrocketing. The third-party pay system is the culprit. It's taking money out of our pockets. Liberty Health Share has solved that issue by being self-pay patients sharing our medical bills. Liberty Health Share is a grassroots movement all across America where people are abandoning the insurance model and instead are meeting each other's costs in community with one another.
And thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and yours truly, Rick Drader. In addition to supporting our sponsors, let me say today's show, like all our shows, is brought to you by what? The First Amendment, protected by what? The Second Amendment. Sharon, we have three great guests joining us once again today.
We do. We have our first guest, Curtis Houck, who's currently serving as the managing editor of Newsbusters after almost 2 years as a news analyst in the Media Research Center's News Analysis Division. His work has been featured on various Fox News Channel programs, Breitbart, The Daily Caller, Drudge Report, Fox Nation, The Mark Levin Show, Mediate, Red State, The Rush Limbaugh Show, townhall.com, Washington Examiner, and Washington Free Beacon. And we've asked him to come on and talk about CNN's Wolf Blitzer, who has spent the past week using his evening show, The Situation Room, as a platform for Democratic lawmakers to plug their numerous investigations of President Trump. So here we go.
You know, Sharon, if CNN wants to do that, fine. We're an advocacy show here. If they want to be an advocacy network, let them be. But take the word news, all right? The CNN News Network, take the word news out of their title. They are not a news network. They advocate the liberal left's agendas.
Yes, but they're not really that keen on the truth anyway. No. So we always have to watch out for that. Our next guest is Cherylyn Harley LeBon, who is a lawyer, strategist, executive coach, and commentator, and she works at the intersection of business and politics and advises CEOs, corporations, trade associations, and nonprofits, and has advised political candidates at all levels in the U.S. and abroad. And we've asked her to come on and talk about an article that she wrote, Attack on For-Profit Colleges Gets Ugly. This whole college situation, we discussed it in the first part of our program, that they say our president's unhinged. Well, many people on the college campuses these days seem to have kind of unhinged, and we're going to talk with Cherylyn about this attack on our for-profit colleges. Our final guest is Dr. Antoine Kanamugire. We'll have to ask him if we're saying that right. He's a Canadian medical doctor, and he pursued a bachelor's degree in biology in Pittsburgh, USA, and then went to Canada, where he completed a medical degree at the University of Sherbrooke. He is a consultant in outpatient clinic in the emergency department. And Dr. Antoine Kanamugire is a leading physician and author of a book, The 21 Unspoken Truths About Marijuana. And we're going to get him on to talk about those 21 unspoken truths. We've talked about this before, Rick, on our show, that that marijuana is not that good for your health. And I think the doctor is going to really underline why that is, and why we as states that have legalized not only medical marijuana but recreational marijuana are going to see an influx of things that we didn't count on as a result of this legalization. So we'll be really interested in what the doctor has to say.
Yeah, indeed we will. And I've spoken out against the any use of marijuana in the past. I have my own personal reasons for that. I've never tried it, but it sure has affected my family, and I'm sure I'm going to talk about that when we get the good doctor on. You know, Sharon, when you talk about the Fox Network and our friend Dana Allen, we were at CPAC, and he mentioned that the Fox News Network was now owned by Disney. We were in a little bit disbelief, and you and I together, we even Googled that fact and found out to be a truth. And also, Dana and I were in a meeting with the gentleman who I will not mention his name at this time out of his privacy, but we had a meeting with a leading conservative, and I'm sure if we mentioned his name, everybody would recognize it. He did not even know that Fox News Network was now part of the Disney Corporation. So if you don't believe us, please Google that fact.
Google is good for something.
Google is good for something.
You know, I want to get back a little bit since we're going to this area with these colleges with one of our guests. And since we saw so many young people at CPAC, they've done a Harris poll of young people, which is really interesting. It says that the percent of millennials and Generation Z agree with the statement that we should be a socialist country. I didn't even realize we had a Generation Z going, but here we go. This poll is really interesting. We've had Gen X. I knew about Gen Xers, but now we have the Gen Zers. Anyway, they say 73% of them said government should provide universal health care. Now, put this against 78% of them say that government should allow private insurance. Well, which is it? Universal health care is directly opposite of private insurance. Listen to this one. 67% believe that the government should provide tuition-free college. And of course, that is just goes along with your idea about socialism. It's all about the free things. Then they say that they believe that the highest earnings, so here they're going to get their college degree free, but and they want to have some high earnings, and they believe that 67% of them believe that high earnings are a result of free enterprise. So on the one hand, you have socialism and all its free stuff, but when you get graduated, you want to have a free market so that you can have a high wage. I don't think you can put those things together.
Well,
it just shows how confused some of our young people are, and I blame it completely on academia, on the education system.
I think you can blame it on academia, Sharon, but I'll also blame it on their parents too. You know, when 73% want free health care, that's because these are a bunch of young, I'll use the word idiots. I'm not politically correct here. You've got these young idiots who they've never had to pay a medical bill. They've never had to make a medical premium. They probably in many cases have never been to the doctor. They've never had to make an appointment to get to a doctor or hospital, which, and you and I have had that experience recently, that it is not that easy to be seen when you have a medical emergency. And then the other thing is when you have something free, when you get something free, the system is overtaxed. And I'll bring up this story, Sharon. I had a medical emergency when I was at CPAC. Sharon had to rush me to the hospital at 1 in the morning. We get to one hospital, and they said there would be a 3-hour wait in emergency room. Sharon called a couple other hospitals that were in the vicinity. They had a 5-hour wait. So, my gosh, I believe I had a medical emergency. I called a doctor. The doctor said I had to be seen right away. And what it was a blood clot in my leg. And I was told that if I didn't get care right away, it could break out of my leg and go to my heart and my lungs, and then I'd have real problems. So you get to the hospital and you say, well, you have a 3-hour wait or a 5-hour wait. Again, these young idiots have never had to deal with that. They've never had to deal with that. 67% went free college. And again, as you said, Sharon, here we go. It's with the free stuff. You want somebody to vote for them? You take somebody else's money and you buy free stuff for other people. This is a great example of that. But yet 67% want to get that free degree and then go out and make big money. Well, let me tell you something about that big money you're going to make. This free stuff is not free. Somebody has to pay for all this free stuff, like free college and free medical care and free food stamps, free housing, free heat, free cell phones. That free stuff comes out of the pockets of the people who earn a living. So, Sharon, I have a solution for all these people who want free things like free medical care. Let's buy them one-way tickets to a place of their choice. Either a free trip to Venezuela, free one-way trip to Venezuela, or free one-way trip to Cuba, or any other socialist communist nation that they think has it all over the United States of America. Hell, Sharon, I'm sorry, we got to go to a break. I'm not paying attention to the time, and that's what happens when we're getting back in the saddle here on Conservative Commandos. And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. Well, the president is under attack. He's been under attack since even before he became our president. But on the other side, we're going to be speaking with Curtis Houck. He's the managing editor of Newsbusters, and we're going to talk about how Wolf Blitzer and CNN has been continuously going after President Trump. They're not a news organization anymore. They are an advocacy group. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our first guest, Curtis Houck.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
My healthcare costs were going to double this year.
Doubled.
It was down to healthcare or my student loans.
I found a better way.
It's neighbors helping neighbors.
Liberty Health Share. It's freedom from insurance. At Liberty Health Share, we support each other and keep health costs down. We're changing the way you're paying for health care.
This is the way it should be.
We're all in this together.
We're changing the way you pay for health care.
The movement to help each other is growing.
Liberty Health Share. This is the way it should be.
This is how I make a difference.
Healthcare costs are skyrocketing. The third-party pay system is the culprit. It's taking money out of our pockets. Liberty Health Share has solved that issue by being self-pay patients sharing our medical bills. Liberty Health Share is a grassroots movement all across America where people are abandoning the insurance model and instead are meeting each other's costs in community with one another.
Thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is Sharon Angle. Yes, that's Sharon Angle. And for rebroadcasts of our shows, the best place to go is to our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. You could either listen to our radio broadcast or see our latest TV show. And with that, Sharon, our first guest of the day is with us. Please make him feel welcome.
Well, it's a pleasure to introduce a favorite of ours, Curtis Houck, who's currently serving as the managing editor of Newsbusters after almost 2 years as a news analyst in the Media Research Center's News Analysis Division. His work has been featured on various Fox News Channel programs, Breitbart, The Daily Caller, Drudge Report, Fox Nation, The Mark Levin Show, Mediate, Red State, The Rush Limbaugh Show, Town Hall, Washington Examiner, and the Washington Free Beacon. Curtis, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Hi, Sharon.
It's a pleasure to have you here with us, Curtis. And we want to talk to you about CNN's Wolf Blitzer. He claims to be a newsman, but that's not really what his agenda is it?
No, well, we've been finding it's okay. So for folks the curious, he hosts the Situation Room, which airs from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And we've noticed that really a lot of what his show is talking about endless Democratic investigations and bringing on really a new Democrat member of Congress while on a rotating basis, because there's a whole bunch of them that make repeat appearances like Adam Schiff. And asks really leading questions about the Mueller investigation or any number of investigations into this president. So we decided that we wanted to quantify that and see if our hunch was correct, and sure enough, we were. So my colleague Bill D'Agostino did a look. We just picked a week to a 5-show week because it airs Monday through Friday, just to get a nice representative sample, because we could go on and on and on forever about this. So what we did was we looked at March 3rd through the 8th, so last week. We found 86 questions that were promoting or either not critical of Democratic investigations, and only 3 questions challenging these partisan investigations into the president. So once again, 86 to 3. Yeah. They accepted at face value the importance of these inquiries, or else pressed Democrats to go even further into their oversight role. That was me quoting from my colleague's article. And so the way he did it is he put 3 challenges to Democrats. He would either say something along the lines of, quote, as Republicans are alleging or Republicans say. In each case, he didn't provide a follow-up or anything like that. It's just so lazy questioning. This guy who's supposed to be the most famous, newsman at CNN most trusted newsman with millions of Twitter followers. And, he's had a very distinguished career, but yet we've noticed when it comes to it, just like, it's like his questions are written by these Democrats, it's press secretaries, and it's like a fill-in-the-blank sheet when these people come on television.
Well, in politics, we always call those softball questions when you have the commentator or the interviewer, and he throws you an easy one that you can hit out of the park, and that sounds like what's going on. This is not real journalism, is it, Curtis?
No, it's, again, like I said, it's almost like a worksheet where you come up with the worksheet and then you fill in the blanks to your own questions. You answer your own questions. So it's it's a little ridiculous, but again, it's just something that we've noticed. It's a news program that airs during, the dinner time hour on the East and Central time zones. It airs during the same time that Special Report on Fox News, which most people would say is the main news broadcast on Fox News, and when the evening newscasts of ABC, CBS, and NBC air. So it's a nice comparison, apples to apples, because Wolf Blitzer is kind of the main figurehead of news anchoring, most people think, and have thought of for decades. So that's another reason we did it, because we thought it would be a nice comparison, and sure enough, we were correct that it was this huge disparity, 97% of questions not being critical of these investigations, or
wow.
Who's holding them to account as well, because that's kind of the whole point of journalism, folks. It's holding the powerful accountable, as the press loves to thump their chest, especially in the Trump era, that they do this. But as we're learning, of course, just like during the Obama era, the softball questions have shifted from the White House to members of Congress.
And this was with 10 different representatives. This isn't, they just don't have their favorite, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez or Ilhan Omar. They're spreading it around, aren't they? It's everybody. They
don't typically go on, they bring on, those folks usually don't go on the CNN shows, more like Adam Schiff or Eric Swalwell, or Danny Heck is one who's a usual, Jackie Spear, and then a newer member of Congress that we had an example from, Madeline Dean, who is a Democrat elected from my home state of Pennsylvania, elected in thanks to some judicial activism in Pennsylvania to redraw the congressional districts. So she's representing a nice blue district that she can just go on CNN shows and get lob softballs, and everybody has a good time.
So why don't they interview our favorites? I guess I'm surprised to hear that they're not chasing AOC and Ilhan Omar.
You think they're talking. The thing is, they're talking about them, but they would much rather go on more overtly liberal shows, like Chris Hayes' show or Rachel Maddow's show, where they are kind of amongst their more their fellow radical leftists, whereas you would think of Wolf Blitzer as more kind of an establishment, kind of more mellow Democrat, and that's obviously not what people like Congresswoman Omar and Ocasio-Cortez are.
So the impeachment was one of the favorite questions or topics that they like to bring up. Now, isn't that kind of loaded? Certainly the Republicans didn't do so well with Clinton's impeachment.
Right, exactly. And that's one of the important points here. And we have Congresswoman or Speaker Pelosi coming out and just saying that she doesn't think that impeachment is worth it. That unless it's something so egregious and it's uniquely bipartisan, she doesn't think impeachment's worth it because of the damage it does to our country. And what's interesting about that point is on just on a timeline basis. So if they'd start official impeachment proceedings now, it'd take a while. But now we're in a year away from a presidential election. So I think Nancy Pelosi understands how it would make it a great argument for President Trump and his reelection that the Democrats, not just the news media, but the Democrats are out to get me. They're trying to get rid of me right before there's an election when they can get rid of me, vote me out of office. Why are they doing that now? Look what they're doing, They could be doing any number of things trying to improve life for the American voter and have a record to run on, but they don't have a record to run on. So Nancy Pelosi kind of sees that, I think, and that's what led her to say what she has said in an interview with the Washington Post. But in terms of pleasing her base, I don't think that'll fly.
Well, it seems like
just maybe.
Wolf Blitzer wants to follow up on that. We have to go to a short break, Curtis, and we'll be right back with you. We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, Leading Edge Radio Network, and AM/FM 24/7. And now you can watch our TV show on AUN TV Network. We'll be right back with our guest, Curtis Houck of the Newsbusters, our co-host, Rick Trader, and I'm Sharon Engel.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes. Now, people say, why didn't you report it to the authorities? Well, they were the ones doing it.
The integrity of one man, one vote doesn't apply at the Texas state legislature. There is no way to know if your representatives are voting for themselves.
Department, a Republican reaches back to vote for Democrat Oliveira. Democrat Matt Reynolds votes for Republican England.
2 out of 3 voters nationwide believe that voter fraud is a serious problem in the U.S. today.
The process is rigged.
Both sides of the aisle are guilty.
Florida now has to tell the Department of Justice whether the state will comply with DOJ's demand to stop purging thousands of people from its voter rolls.
We have the sloppiest election system of any industrialized democracy.
Philadelphia flagged 50,000 duplicate registrations, so just think how many more slipped through.
It's almost impossible to detect. How do you get caught? You only get caught if you confess.
Election corruption is deeply embedded in America. Quote, election fraud is a crime that usually pays, unquote, writes Tracy Campbell in his book, Deliver the Vote, A History of Election Fraud, an American political tradition from 1742 to 2004. In 1742, the first Prime Minister of Britain in the American colonies, Robert Walpole, was forced to resign.
We have a right not to have our vote canceled out by someone who shouldn't be voting, someone who's an illegal alien, someone who's a felon not eligible to vote, someone who doesn't exist. If they vote, they cancel your vote out as much as if you're prevented from voting.
If this is going to be fixed, it's going to have to be a citizen effort. It comes down to, it's the same old question, if not now, when? If not us, then who?
This is huge. This is about the democracy and the principles of the United States of America. People say, but why you? Why you? Why? Well, why not? And if it starts with a fireman, if it starts with a sanitation worker, if it starts with a teacher or a nurse or a caretaker of the elderly, then so be it. It's got to start somewhere. But it's time we come together and fix this problem once and for all.
There is no serious person out there who would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
Serious allegations of voter fraud, the claims raising questions about the
Commerce Secretary Ron Brown and 32 others were on a military plane that crashed today in a violent storm. There are no known survivors at this time.
The U.S. Army was funded by the evil entity.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
The process is rigged.
People die and fall for the right time. It's too late. So it's incredibly important now that we draw a line and say, not on our watch.
My healthcare costs were going to double this year.
Doubled.
Doubled.
it was down to healthcare or my student loans.
I found a better way.
It's neighbors helping neighbors.
Liberty Health Share. It's freedom from insurance. At Liberty Health Share, we support each other and keep health costs down. We're changing the way you're paying for health care.
This is the way it should be.
We're all in this together.
We're changing the way you pay for health care.
The movement to help each other is growing.
Liberty
Health Share. This is the way it should be.
This is how I make a difference.
Healthcare costs are skyrocketing. The third-party pay system is the culprit. It's taking money out of our pockets. Liberty Health Share has solved that issue by being self-pay patients sharing our medical bills. Liberty Health Share is a grassroots movement all across America where people are abandoning the insurance model and instead are meeting each other's costs in community with one another.
And thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is Sharon Angle. Want to give a shout out to the folks who listen to us on stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas, and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Long Beach, California, and seen as part of the AUN television network in California. Curtis Houck is our guest. He's the managing editor for Newsbusters, and we're discussing some research that the Media Research Center has done about CNN, Wolf Blitzer, and how they're handling what they call the news. Curtis, thank you for holding through that break. It's great to talk with you after seeing you down at CPAC. When is CNN going to stop calling themselves a news network?
Rick, that's a lot. Well, that's quite the question.
Yes.
Yeah,
you know what?
Well, I'm not really,
Curtis? I have no problem with them doing what they do. After all, we do a very similar thing in reverse here on Conservative Commandos, but we do not call ourselves a news service or a news show. We say this is a place where newsmakers go to be heard. But we wear it on our sleeves. We tell people we are partisan, but we are the other side. We are the counterpart of what all the alphabet networks are talking about. But it just seems to me, Curtis, this is false advertising for CNN and NBC and MSNBC to call themselves news networks.
Well, I will say, Rick, I think MSNBC makes it pretty clear who they are. I mean, for a while, their own motto was lean forward, and they had all these commercials about leaning forward and tilting to the left. You look at their lineup, you watch Rachel Maddow, Ryan Williams, Lawrence O'Donnell, Chris Matthews, you know what's going on. Everybody knows. And that's why, when it comes to this president or people at CPAC, if 5 years ago you had said to CPAC attendees that CNN would become more hated than MSNBC, I would have thought you were crazy. Right. But sure enough, here we are. We're in a situation where CNN, because of how just blatantly dishonest they are in trying to come across as pro-truth or fair and objective, and that they don't have pundits, as hosts. When you look at people like Chris Cuomo, who, makes the argument that MAGA hats should be banned from places, people shouldn't be allowed to wear MAGA hats in stores or restaurants if they don't want to. Don Lemon's suggesting that not only is President Trump racist, that his supporters are racist, and that they're liars and they don't have any integrity. Just saying ugly things, where Brian Stelter saying on Sunday's Reliable Sources that Fox News, this was a Chiron, is poisoning our national discourse, poisoning America. So in other words, what they're saying is Fox News to me is the people.
Well, that's kind of funny, Curtis, you should say that, because down at CPAC, one of our friends and colleagues, Dana Allen, who's the CEO and president of our network, the American Uncensored News Network. By the way, Dana was also one of the original creators of Newsmax. He made a statement, and it sounded so funny that both Sharon and I had to Google it. And what that statement was is that Fox News was now owned by the Disney Corporation. And Sharon Googled it, and sure enough, it is. But so it's almost like for people who thought, well, we had something fair and balanced in Fox News, we're actually losing it now. And I think we've seen an example of this over the weekend where Fox News come on and made Jeanine Pirro apologize for questioning Omar, Congresswoman Omar.
I wouldn't say that she had, I mean, Judge Jeanine hasn't exactly apologized. It's more so that the network has condemned her. And I should point out that Fox News, the news operation, News Corp, is still separate from, but they have sold everything else. They have sold Sky News,
well, if
which
you
was
look
a right-leaning...
Fox News Corp, Fox News is part of Fox News Corporation, which is part of Fox, which has been sold to Disney.
Well, they still have a new Fox where Rupert Murdoch is still, the Murdochs are still overrunning it, in 20th Century Fox. All those movies and shows that were great have been sold to Disney as well. And that's a really fascinating discussion about media consolidation and media ownership. But you know, you talk about with CNN and just their how not objective they are, I should put it that way. Right. You know, and today you have Brian Stelter wondering why Fox hosts aren't quitting in mass protests over what's been going on. You're like, does this guy even watch his own network? Like, seriously, does he even, like, pay attention to what's going on here? And you see, and you know, they've always hated Fox News, but I really think they've upped their game. And you look at who's their president, Jeffrey Zucker. Jeffrey Zucker wants to run for office. He says Fox News has done tremendous damage to this country. You know, you think that is when you have someone at the top of your network who has admitted that he likes to have his hands involved in the day-to-day operations. There's a New York Times Magazine profile of him and how he likes to jump in the control room and help steer like long interviews with Trump officials to make them extra contentious. That he's all about the show. He's more of a circus kind of ringmaster than he is kind of a news guy. It's all personality-based for him, and it's about narratives instead of covering the news, delivering the news. That if you watch CNN, if you can somehow stomach that, they're only covering 2 to 3, 4 maybe topics a day.
Right.
And they just drive that home all day long. You know, you might get some news on the crawl, but that's about it.
Right. And our guest here in this segment is Curtis Houck. He's the managing director or managing editor of Newsbusters, which is part of the Media Research Center. Curtis, let's just change gears for a moment. There was another article that was up on Newsbusters, an article that was written by a colleague of yours, Jeffrey Dickens, and it's flashback. Media dismissed GOP investigations as partisan witch hunts. And Jeffrey wrote in his article, a partisan witch hunt that is wasting taxpayer millions is not how liberal journalists describe current Democrat investigations into Donald Trump's investigations and the alleged Russian collusion. So we've got to take it from that first line of Jeffrey's articles that these networks like CNN reported very differently about investigations into Benghazi, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and Bill Clinton. You want to talk about
exactly. That? Yeah, sure. So for Hillary Clinton, when it came to Hillary Clinton scandals, they suggested that the GOP was committing suicide by investigating Benghazi and that it was a witch hunt, you know, or Chuck Todd saying there's no such thing as an unanswered question. Gwen Ifill was upset that such scandals in 2013, IRS, Benghazi, the NSA, were a distraction from Obama's policy goals. Or you had CNN saying that it was a partisan slugfest that people spied, that the IRS was spying on, or, you know, really screwing over taxpayers. And then Chuck Todd saying in 2013 that the voters will punish the GOP if they continue down that path. Well, I'm pretty sure in 2014 they did just fine in those midterm elections.
They did. 2016,
yeah, they
did
okay.
Bad either.
No, yeah, they did all right. So it goes on and on and on that this is an old trick, you know, and even going back to the days of the Ken Starr investigation, how, you know, Dan Rather couldn't go a news report without describing Ken Starr as the Republican special counsel. Not the special counsel, Republican special counsel, or the Republican-affiliated special counsel, to make it seem like that this was a partisan witch hunt and that there was no there, whether it came to Whitewater or Monica Lewinsky, that none of that was, that they had any factual substance to it other than a partisan spin to it.
Right.
Whereas with Robert Mueller, he may as well be Captain America.
Right. Well, Curtis, even with good news, if it's repeated over and over and over again ad nauseum, you get a little tired of it. Like there's been some very good news for Philadelphia Phillies fans in the last week or so with the signing of Bryce Harper, and that's all you heard for months before the signing was Bryce Harper, Bryce Harper, Bryce Harper, and that's all you've heard since that time is Bryce Harper. Well, what I'm getting at, Curtis, is I'm not turning this into a sports conversation here, but I think after a while people get tired of hearing the same thing over and over and over again. So I want to know, has there been any blowback coming towards CNN and MSNBC for this constant 2.5 year continuous witch hunt on Russia and Mueller? Any blowback? I mean, how's it affected their ratings?
They're still in third place, Rick. They're way behind. I mean, MSNBC and Fox News are way out in front. You look at how both of those networks are doing compared to CNN, and it's just they're not even in the same solar system. It's just it's crazy. If you're Phil Griffin or the Murdochs, you're feeling pretty good, and you just look down at CNN and you just kind of wave, hi,
Well, I'll tell you who you won't see in third place, way behind. You won't see those Philadelphia Phillies this year. But Curtis Houck, we want to thank you so much for joining us. Curtis, please tell our audience how they can find out more about Newsbusters and the Media Research Center.
Newsbusters.org, Newsbusters.org. We're at Newsbusters on Twitter and at the MRC on Twitter.
Curtis Houck, thank you so much for joining us. Great talking with you. Great seeing you down at CPAC. Take care and God bless.
All right, take care, Rick.
And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. On the other side, we're going to be speaking with our next guest, Cherylyn Harley LeBon, about, an attack. There is an attack now by the left on for-profit colleges and also conservative colleges and universities. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our next guest.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
My healthcare costs were going to double this year.
Doubled.
It was down to healthcare or my student loans.
I found a better way.
It's neighbors helping neighbors.
Liberty Health Share. It's freedom from insurance. At Liberty Health Share, we support each other and keep health costs down. We're changing the way you're paying for health care.
This is the way it should be.
We're all in this together.
Together.
We're changing the way you pay for health care.
The movement to help each other is growing.
Liberty Health Share.
This is the way it should be.
This is how I make a difference.
Healthcare costs are skyrocketing. The third-party pay system is the culprit. It's taking money out of our pockets. Liberty Health Share has solved that issue by being self-pay patients sharing our medical bills. Liberty Health Share is a grassroots movement all across America where people are abandoning the insurance model and instead are meeting each other's costs in community with one another.
Thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. And for rebroadcasts of our show, be it the radio show, be it the TV show, please check out our websites, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. And Sharon, we have our next guest with us, and the honor of the introduction is yours.
It is a real honor to introduce Cherylyn Harley LeBon, who is a lawyer, a strategist, an executive coach, and a commentator. She works at the intersection of business and politics and advises CEOs, corporations, trade associations, and nonprofits, and has advised political candidates at all levels in the U.S. and abroad. Cherylyn, welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
I am so delighted to be with you this afternoon.
Well, it's our delight, and we want to talk to you about the attack on for-profit colleges getting ugly. This is something that you wrote about, and we don't really understand where academia is gone. Of course,
it's gone amok. Is what's happened, Sharon. It is really on various levels. Academia has gotten out of control in a very PC culture that seemingly academia is embracing.
Well, we've watched curious things happen. Hayden Williams was highlighted by the president for getting socked in the eye on a college campus.
I saw him at CPAC.
Well, you know, so we're seeing this, and now in your article you talk about how there are attacks on for-profit. You would think that a for-profit college, a public college or a private college even, that is doing their job and not taking anything from the government, they're doing what they are supposed to be doing, would be getting kudos from folks not having to support them. But that's not the case.
Well, let me set the table for you, Rick and Sharon, because what we have is a narrative that says when kids graduate from high school or when veterans are returning from serving our country, or single moms who are recently divorced, whatever the case may be, going back to school and going to school for the first time means enrolling in a 4-year institution and accruing a lot of school loan debt. The reality is that is a scenario that simply is not appropriate or works for everyone. And as often as we say one size does not fit all, the same phrase we should use for education. People learn in many different ways, and just like everything else you do in life, when you buy a house, when you buy a car, you should shop around and you should look at the best option that will work for you and your family. So specifically in this article, I talk about how certain people in the U.S. Senate are now trying to encourage and make it harder for career colleges and nonprofit colleges, or for-profit colleges to operate. In the previous administration, Sharon, they promulgated tougher rules and regulations on for-profit colleges. And the reality now is, since we have a new administration, they're now rolling back these regs and really trying to level the playing field for career schools and for-profit colleges, because we recognize, as many other people have made that clear, that one size does not fit all, and that different college experiences, different types of schools are really what people are looking for, because they're looking for the best fit for themselves and their family.
Well, that's right. That's how it should be. So why are they attacking? I don't get it.
Well, they're attacking because what they want is people to attend those four-year colleges, because as you opened up the conversation, if you get everyone in those four-year institutions, then guess what? The kids are being educated in a certain way. They're getting a certain narrative, and that really is the goal, right? In some college campuses, they are suppressing free speech instead of encouraging it. And if you continue to suppress free speech, then essentially you're going to have students thinking one way. And that is not what I think we have happening now. Or actually, I should say what they want to happen now on college campuses is they want to suppress free speech and just have, they're suppressing dialogue. And we know what happens. We know what happens in those scenarios. The kids are, students and kids are not hearing different points of view. And we want them to hear that, because really, that's what makes the world go round. And the other point I want to make, Sharon, is that, and Rick, is that, with career colleges, it really allows older students, again, single moms, veterans returning home, to be able to focus on their career, be very kind of laser-like focused on what they're doing, and then they're able to graduate in a shorter period of time, and then guess what? Go out, be employed, and be able to take care of their families and pay their bills. And that's really what a good number of people would like to do. They don't want to spend 4 years, accruing a large student loan debt. They really want to go to nursing school, go to mechanic school, go to plumbing school, and go in for a certain period of time, come out and start working. And as we know, with the economy and the number of jobs available, if you Google cybersecurity jobs, they are plentiful all over the country. In fact, the president continues to talk in his rallies and press conferences about the availability of jobs in the country. What a great problem to have. And if people are spending 4 years in school, they're missing those. They could possibly be missing those opportunities. And those jobs are available right now. Schools with these programs, you graduate in a certain period of time, and you're able to get out and start working and start making money.
Well, you said something kind of interesting, which is I'll have to rephrase that. Thinking students would want to have free speech, but I don't think they're really encouraging thinking, especially not critical thinking. This is not something, especially in the California system, that we're seeing.
Right. And, that's another point I make in my article. Politico came out with this recent report. And one of the things they brought out is that employers are really looking for, new graduates that have these critical thinking skills and have, really marketable, tangible skills that they are able to use day one on the job, right? This is what employers are really looking for. They're looking for marketable students with, hard, serious skills. That's what every employer wants. And part of that too, Sharon, is that students have to be encouraged to think outside the box and to engage in critical thinking skills. And if we suppress free speech on campus, then that's exactly what we're discouraging. We're discouraging kids from debating and thinking outside the box. And I really wonder how we got to this point. It's really a shame.
It is a shame. We're talking with Cherylyn Harley LeBon here. She is a lawyer, a strategist, an executive coach, and a commentator. And we've been talking about her article, The Attack on on for-profit colleges, and it's getting ugly. We need to take a break right now. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, Leading Edge Radio Network, and AM/FM 24/7. And now you can watch us on our TV show on the AUN TV network in Northern California. We'll be right back with our guest, Cherylyn Harley LeBon, our co-host, Rick Trader, and I'm Sharon Angle.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos Radio Show with Sharon Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. For rebroadcasts of our shows, there's many ways. One of the ways is on Al Gore's amazing internet. Check us out on TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, AM/FM 24/7, and as in addition to AUN TV network and our radio stations. Our guest this segment is Cherylyn Harley LeBon. She's a lawyer, a strategist, executive coach, and communicator. Cherylyn, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. And I also wanted to make a point
Sure.
about this world of how we educate students, is that students, people in general, learn many different ways. So years ago, when someone had dyslexia or autism, I mean, honestly, they had limited options. Now we have programs for them at community colleges, at career technical schools, at career schools across the country. They've created programs because they now recognize that people learn in different ways. Because the experience I've had from friends with children with various learning disabilities is a 4-year institution somewhere out in some small town for this person with these specific learning disabilities. Being on a 4-year campus is not ideal for them. This is an environment where this particular person is not going to succeed. So here we have these wonderful programs across the country where these people with various learning disabilities can go in, learn a trade, learn a specific skill, take a program. Particularly people with autism, they tend to do very well in IT fields and cybersecurity, right? So why not encourage these type of people and people with learning disabilities to engage in these types of programs so they then too can become self-sufficient members of society, being able to pay their rent, live independently, right? And fully engaged in society. I thought that that's what we really wanted.
I thought that's what we're told that they want. But, Cherylyn, first, we're discussing your article, Attack on For-Profit Colleges Gets Ugly. And earlier in the show, Sharon and I was having a conversation about young people and millennials, a poll that was taken that 67% of young people want free college, free tuition. Right. And I almost get the feeling, Cherylyn, and help me with this, correct me if I'm wrong, the words for-profit are dirty words.
Right, exactly.
They're dirty words, and when you bring this up to a millennial, someone who is, when you got 43% or 47% of the millennials think that socialism, out-and-out socialism is the way to go. I guess they don't know much about Venezuela or Cuba, but they think free is the way to go, and for-profit are dirty, dirty words.
Right. Well, again, it's the latest favorite thing, to embrace socialism. And I really think people need to be educated and to spend time with people who are coming from those countries, spend time with some North Korean defectors.
Right.
I was at a luncheon last Friday in celebration of International Women's Day, and I met two ladies, both from Venezuela. One woman, young woman, I'd say late 20s. She's part of the youth movement in Venezuela. She was grateful that she still has her passport and is able to travel. Another woman is the sister of a woman who's imprisoned, and her passport has been taken away from her. And again, they are outspoken leaders for freedom and independence in Venezuela, and they are coming from these countries where there's no medicine, the children are dying, people are starving. They said 90% of the time every day is spent in darkness. This is socialism. Have any of these people who, want to expound about the wonderful, virtues of socialism, have they met these people? Have they talked to this woman who spends 90% of her day in darkness in Venezuela? So I'm a strong believer in people being educated about a particular belief. And this one, we happen to be talking about a socialism. You should really spend time with people who come from those countries and tell you that socialism is a failure.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about socialism being a failure. Let's talk about the educational system as it is right now. Cherylyn, we here on Conservative Commandos, Anna Little, Sharon Angle, I, George Landreth, Rick Manning have talked about the educational system and how 80% of the professors in colleges and universities today are liberal. Right. And that what they're doing is they're nurturing more liberalism in schools. And that I think that this is an incubator for socialism. But, I wanted to talk with you about your background, Cherylyn, a little bit. You're a very accomplished lady. You're a lawyer, strategist, executive coach, communicator. Cherylyn, how much of that did you learn in college, and how much did you learn after you got out of college?
After I got out of college and law school, by the way. The real learning comes. We'd like to think that we learned some of that in college.
Right.
Law school is a little different. It's a professional school. You're going to take a bar exam. They have to educate you a certain amount so that you can sit for that bar exam. Basically any profession where you're going to be licensed, they do have to teach you in your school a certain amount so that you can pass those exams. So, but when it comes to real life experience, all of that came after I graduated from school. That's where, you put your life into practice.
Right.
College and graduate schools are supposed to be for the fundamentals. And it was a history and a minor in political science and went straight to law school. I wasn't really putting my history degree into practice, so to speak. But certainly after law school, I put that law degree to practice. But,
Right.
you know, there's not a whole lot when you come out of law school in your early 20s. You're going to need to practice. You're going to need to be in the business world. You learn how to talk to people. You learn how to get through difficult situations. And my concern, again, is I would really like a college campus to be a place, yes, would be ideal if the kids were getting practical experience. And I think those kids that really max out on getting internships probably, I think, do better when they graduate. Another point that I wanted to make in this political report that I cite in my article is they made a point about apprenticeships and how important those are, and how the students realize they would like to have more apprenticeships because they are key. And I've seen, even over the years when I've had younger employees, the ones that really seem to adjust to being a new professional, the ones that seem to be nimble and flexible with assignments, were ones that had more internships and great experience in college and undergrad.
Yeah. You know, Cherylyn, the closest I ever got to law school was the paper chase or Boston Legal. But it seems like, you know, in college, they may have taught you the legal precedents, okay? But they didn't teach you how to be a lawyer. And correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like you're exactly right. You learn that type of thing.
The basic fundamentals.
Right. They teach you law, but they didn't teach you to become a lawyer, and you probably learned that in working with other lawyers and whatever. You know, in your article, you wrote something that I found very interesting, and I think it really shows how government is changing the direction of the rivers here. You write in your article, some Democrat members, staff, and activists have resorted to pressuring officials working at the Department of Veteran Affairs, the agency which funds GI Bill education, to cut off money for schools they don't like.
This is a serious problem, Rick, because GI Bill is, you know, an American tradition. My dad went to school on the GI Bill. It's been around for so many years. And again, veterans have the right, back to one size does not fit all. Veterans who just returned for serving their country, they have the right to decide where they want to use those funds, that grant, and go to school. That is their discretion, right? That is a decision that they have to make for themselves. And no one should be getting pressure from any activists or outside groups steering them to one particular school over another. It's simply just not right.
I agree. I don't think the one size fits all. And there are different people that have different talents, skills, and interests. Sure. Cherylyn Harley LeBon, we want to thank you so much for joining us here on Conservative Commandos. Please tell our audience how they could read your article. Great article. That's why we brought you on. And follow your work.
They can find the article. It was published in Real Clear Ed, which is part of Real Clear. It's part of the Real Clear Politics family. And also, I've tweeted it out several times, and they can follow me on Twitter at Harley, Harley LeBon, LeBon.
All right. And Cherylyn, if you don't mind, we're also going to link to it from our website, ccrshow.com, if you don't mind.
Very much.
As well as this interview.
Appreciate it.
Cherylyn Harley LeBon, we want to thank you for joining us here on Conservative Commandos. Sorry I missed you at CPAC. I wish we knew you were there.
I'm sorry. I missed you as well. But next year.
But thank you so much for joining us. Take care and God bless.
Thank you, Sharon and Rick. Very much appreciate it.
And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. We're going to be speaking about marijuana and how we're going to be talking about the 21 unspoken truths about marijuana and how the Democrat Party and Democratic legislators are pushing this agenda. But is it really good for the American people and for people get hooked? Don't go away. We'll be right back after this break.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
My healthcare costs were going to double this year.
Doubled.
It was down to healthcare or my student loans.
I found a better way.
It's neighbors helping neighbors.
Liberty Health Share. It's freedom from insurance. At Liberty Health Share, we support each other and keep health costs down. We're changing the way you're paying for health care.
This is the way it should be.
We're all in this together.
We're changing the way you pay for healthcare.
The movement to help each other is growing.
Liberty
Health Share. This is the way it should be.
This is how I make a difference.
Healthcare costs are skyrocketing. The third-party pay system is the culprit. It's taking money out of our pockets. Liberty Health Share has solved that issue by being self-pay patients sharing our medical bills. Liberty Health Share is a grassroots movement all across America where people are abandoning the insurance model and instead are meeting each other's costs in community with one another.
Thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. And Sharon, you know, I have for quite some time talked on the Conservative Commandos radio show about what I believe the perils of marijuana is. I actually believe it was a gateway drug for two of my nieces who died way younger than what they should have because of drug addiction. And as I mentioned here on the show before, I actually think it all started with just a little bit of pot, and what can that hurt you? And I think that we're going to have an expert with us, and I'll ask you to introduce him to talk about some of the untold truths about marijuana. Sharon, please introduce our guest.
It's an honor and a pleasure for me to introduce Dr. Antoine Kanamugire, who is a Canadian medical doctor. He pursued a bachelor's degree in biology in Pittsburgh and then went to Canada where he completed his medical degree at the University of Sherbrooke. He is a consultant in outpatient clinic in the emergency department. Dr. Kanamugire is a leading physician and author of a book, The 21 Unspoken Truths About Marijuana. Dr. Kanamugire, welcome to Conservative Commandos radio show.
Great to be with you.
Well, it's really an honor to have you here to talk about this because I live in a state where we not only have legal medical marijuana, but we now have legal recreational marijuana, and no one wants to talk about the truths that you have put in your book. So I want to go through some of these things. Tell us a little bit about why you even wrote a book like this, and then let's talk about the truth.
Yes. Being a physician and a consultant in the ER and in outpatient clinics, I get a lot of questions from mothers and fathers and parents and teachers, and sometimes from young people trying to understand, what is cannabis? What does it really do to your brain? Can it interfere with the development of the brain? Can it lead to psychosis or other problems that they heard about? So out of care, out of passion, and a desire to really share with my fellow citizen, I wrote this book to try to answer to those questions to the general public. So I put it in very simple terms that anyone can understand, and it's very easy and concise, so that whoever takes the book can read it fast and easily. So it was really, the purpose is to answer the questions of the people. So it's a book that came from people's questions.
Now, marijuana is classified by the Federal Drug Administration as a Schedule I drug, which puts it on a par with heroin and LSD. Why would we think it's harmless?
That is a very good question, because a lot of people genuinely believe that cannabis is harmless. And I understand, when you hear a lot of people, on in the popular culture, they minimize the effects of cannabis or marijuana, and a lot of people really believe this is a harmless substance, and it's not. I understand people can be for whatever they want, but it is important to state the facts, especially when you're in a position of leadership. If you're a leader or a politician, I think you have a responsibility to state the facts, and then, you can be for whatever you want, but please do not minimize the facts that cannabis is not harmless, because it can be dangerous, especially for those who are vulnerable to psychosis, for example, or depression, or anxiety, or addiction. So these are the things I discuss in my book, and I really emphasize, and I would like to send a message out there, especially to leaders, that please do not minimize the impacts of marijuana.
Well, and we're going to help you do that right now, because I think that one of the things that has happened here is that everyone is kind of hushed it up. They don't want to talk about what you talk about in your book. So let's go through those 21 things that people should be aware of, the facts about marijuana.
One of the things I think is important to know is one of the myths actually is that cannabis is not addictive. A lot of people say, no, there's no addiction linked to it. While the majority of cannabis users might not slide into addiction, we need to say that 10% of cannabis users will slide into addiction. And when we talk about teenagers, for example, this risk almost doubles. It increases to 17%. That means one teenager out of 6 will slide into addiction. And when you start your teenage life as addicted to any substance, it's not a very good start in life, because you run the risk to fall into addiction to other substances later in life, and you're increasing the risk of other mental illness as well. So it is very important to point out this fact. And when you use cannabis every day, the risk of falling into addiction increases to between 25 to 50%. So it's even higher if you are a regular daily user of cannabis. One other thing I really I'm passionate about pointing out is the fact that cannabis can interfere with a developing brain. If you are under 25, your brain is still developing, because the brain develops from the back to the front, and the front parts of your brain develop later in life. So when you're under 25, it will interfere. It might interfere with the development of a specific part of your brain called prefrontal cortex. This is the part of your brain that is right here in front of your eyes, and this is the captain of your brain. This is the pilot of your brain. It's the part of the brain that is involved in decision making, focus, concentration, and anticipation. So when you interfere with this part of the development of the brain, you can have long-lasting consequences, because this is the part that is involved in what we call executive functions, and these are the functions that you need as an adult. So it is very important. If you're under 25, I do not advise anyone to use cannabis, but if you're under 25, please stay away, or if you can forever, just wait for now.
Well, I'm looking at these 21, and I'm just going to go quickly through some of them. Please, I want you to tell us how your book elaborates on some of these. One, it causes psychosis or schizophrenia. It can cause suicide, causes car accidents, cognitive dysfunction, pulmonary damage, blood vessel damage. It affects the sex life in males. It affects pregnancies and breastfeeding. It causes lung cancer. It causes depression and anxiety. It is far more addictive than alcohol. It can directly kill a person. It causes anti-motivational syndrome. And I've seen that in my own family, anti-motivational syndrome. And today's marijuana is more potent than in the past. It can cause liver disease. It affects your brain volume, can cause MS, multiple sclerosis. It's as dangerous as LSD or heroin, and it's the leading cause of secondhand smoke. We even have some billboards here in Nevada that say, "Do you mind your secondhand smoke? Others might." So, I mean, they're now trying to bring us up to date a little bit on the health causes. But talk to us about how your book is almost a must-have for anybody that lives in a place where marijuana is legal.
Yeah, this is what I say. If you for cannabis legalization, you need to read my book. If you are against cannabis legalization, you need to read my book. If you are a cannabis user, you need to read my book, because this is a book, from a medical perspective. I'm just stating the facts that cannabis, for example, can be associated with psychosis. This is uncontested in medical society. All the medical associations, I agree on that. And I don't know any politician or leader who will dare to say that cannabis is not associated with cannabis. Even those who are for cannabis legalization agree that this is a fact. But the problem is, do we talk about this? Do we talk about this enough? Especially to our young teenagers and young adults who run the increased risk of falling into psychosis. For heavy cannabis users, the risk of falling into psychosis is 2 to 5 times higher compared to the general population. So this is not a benign thing, and this is something you'll find in all medical literature around the world. And when you're younger, again, the risk is even higher. For example, depression. Those, especially teenagers and young adults who use regularly cannabis, are 2 to 4 times more likely to experience depressive symptoms sometime in their life. So it is important to state these facts. And I really feel like it's a disservice to the population not to state the facts, because you can have a kid somewhere, in your neighborhood or in your family who might interpret the legalization or the minimization of this substance as a green light to take the substance. And if this kid has an underlying vulnerability to fall into psychosis, and you just trigger that psychosis, you just change the course of his life. So it is important you can be, as I say, to politicians and whatever, activists, you can be for whatever you want, but just state the facts. Tell people that, yes, this can cause psychosis, but if you want to take it, you take it, but know that it can lead to psychosis. It can increase depression by 2 to 4-fold. It can increase the risk of anxiety for those, because it's all about anatomy, and the brain, because cannabis is going to act on receptors in your brain. And some of those receptors, as I said, are found in prefrontal cortex, which explains why, you might have problem with cognitive functioning, with decision making, or with attention focus. But other receptors are found on amygdala, for example. This is the center, the area in your brain that is responsible.
Doctor, I'm sorry to break in, but we do need to take a break. We're up against a hard break. Our guest this segment is Dr. Antoine Kanamugire. He's a Canadian medical doctor. He has also written a book I think that everyone should read, especially if it is a parent, especially if you are a lawmaker, the 21 Unspoken Truths About Marijuana. Doctor, could you hold on for just a few seconds while we pay some bills? I want to pick up this conversation right after this break. Can you stay with us?
With a pleasure, sir.
And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. We'll be right back to pick up our conversation with our guest.
Allegations of voter fraud, the claims raising questions about the
Commerce Secretary Ron Brown and 32 others were on a military plane that crashed today in a violent storm. There are no known survivors at this time.
The U.S. Army was funded by the evil entity.
Saw voter fraud with my own eyes. To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie. The process is rigged.
So it's incredibly important now that we draw a line and say, not on our watch.
My healthcare costs were going to double this year.
Doubled.
It was down to healthcare or my student loans.
I found a better way.
It's neighbors helping neighbors.
Liberty Health Share. It's freedom from insurance. At Liberty Health Share, we support each other and keep health costs down. We're changing the way you're paying for health care.
This is the way it should be.
We're all in this together.
We're changing the way you pay for health care.
The movement to help each other is growing.
Liberty
Health Share. This is the way it should be.
This is how I make a difference.
Healthcare costs are skyrocketing. The third-party pay system is the culprit. It's taking money out of our pockets. Liberty Health Share has solved that issue by being self-pay patients sharing our medical bills. Liberty Health Share is a grassroots movement all across America where people are abandoning the insurance model and instead are meeting each other's costs in community with one another.
And thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. Our guest this segment is Dr. Antoine Kanamugire. He is a Canadian medical doctor, and he is the author of a book, The 21 Outspoken Truths About Marijuana. Doctor, you have that book. I want you to hold it up so our audience can see exactly what we're talking about. And, you know, we've asked Dr. Kanamugire to join us because this seems to be the new popular thing that's going on in politics. And I think that the doctor has some great information in his press release about his book. He writes, polls show that nearly 70% of Democrats favor legalizing marijuana, and that political consultants claim it is impossible to win the Democratic presidential nomination without supporting legalization. And advocates of legalization claim marijuana is no worse than alcohol. Legalizing it will lower crime, and it will also be a source of tax revenue. Doctor, I want to bring you back in. I've made this claim here on Conservative Commandos. For every dollar they're going to bring in taxes, I think society is going to spend $10. For every dollar they bring in taxes, they're going to bring in $10 to heal the people, to heal the problems, to heal the families. And you can't put a dollar value on this, doctor. These are my two nieces, Chrissy and Kathy. Couple of young people who I love dearly, who I changed their diapers when they were infants. The only children I ever changed their diapers. Chrissy and Kathy, when they got in high school, tried to get into the in crowd, and that in crowd was using a little bit of pot. And what can a little bit of pot hurt? Well, doctor, I contend that this little bit of pot was the gateway drug that led my nieces down the path of hard drug addiction, which led to their deaths. My one niece, Kathy, she left 2 small children. My other niece, Chrissy, she died of drug addiction. So did her son. He died of drug addiction also at 30 years old. Doctor, what kind of price can my family put on losing our family members because of drug addiction, which, in my opinion, just started with a little bit of pot? And now you're telling us that a Democrat politician cannot be elected president unless they support this. Unless they support this. This is a very emotional subject for me, doctor.
I understand.
Have you ever been asked by any politician in Canada or in the United States to come and testify before Congress or legislature in Canada talking about the real cost of a little bit of pot?
Yeah, first I would like to mention that it's very unfortunate what happened to your family, and I'm very sorry about this. It's unfortunately something that we see regularly. Either in ER. A lot of people have never met someone like this 19-year-old bright young man that I met in the ER. With his mom and dad and girlfriend and sister and aunt and grandma, everybody panicking because they didn't know what was going on. The kid was a 93 average student in high school, started college, 92 in everything. Second semester, everything drops to 50%. And they couldn't understand. They thought it was depression or something else. We evaluated everything. There was no depression. But this kid, the only thing that changed in his life between the first and the second semester, he started using cannabis. Nothing else changed. And he started experiencing what we call anti-motivational syndrome or amotivational syndrome. And it was a tragic for the whole family. So a lot of people never really met this 21-year-old kid.
But doctor, has anybody from either the Canadian Parliament or the U.S. Congress ever contacted you to come and inform them what they're doing to our loved ones, to our family, our community? Has anyone from Congress or Parliament reached out to you, a doctor and author, to talk about what this is causing?
Not yet. Not yet, and I'm looking forward to that, because I think a lot of people need to be educated on this substance.
Yeah, let's start with the politicians. That 70% of them want to legalize this crap. That 70% of Democrats don't think they can get elected unless they legalize this crap. I mean, you want to talk about let's starting to educate. Yes, let's educate the students. Let's educate the parents. But Congress needs to be educated. Parliament needs to be educated. People like Governor Phil Murphy of New Jersey and the government of Nevada, they need to be educated. The governor of California, every governor needs to be educated as far as what they are doing to our society.
Yeah, I understand your frustration, and it's absolutely necessary to educate our leaders, because the trivialization of the substance as it's getting legalized, it's a common thing that we see in societies that are looking forward to this. And when people start talking about legalization and a trivialization of the substance, you may find this 19-year-old girl, college girl, who is excited, about this legalization without knowing exactly that this same substance she is excited about will interfere with her developing brain and will probably trigger psychosis or depression. So it is important, I think. I really plead to these leaders to just share the facts. Again, I'm not a political expert. I'm not a legal expert.
And I would like to ask what can be done, because so many of us are experiencing this with our young people now. Is there any way to get them to just come in and listen? They don't want to listen about it. You tell them it's harmful, and they say, "Oh no, it's legal."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the problem. And one of the things I think is to first understand exactly what we're talking about. And my book does that part. So you really understand the facts. And I have scientific literature quoted in the book. So you know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, I think there's a lawsuit here in the making, really, against people that have legalized this and said it isn't harmful.
Wow, that's a great.
Yeah,
that's a great question.
Yeah, I'll be glad to discuss that point.
Good,
well, Doctor.
Good.
Yeah.
Doctor, we'll have you back on. Doctor, we got to run, but I want to thank you so much for joining us here in Conservative Commandos.
Yeah.
Please tell our audience. Please hold that book again. I want everybody to get this book, the 21 Unspoken Truths About Marijuana. Dr. Antoine Kanamugire, I want to thank you so much. Again, please spell your name. I know I'm emotional here. I'm butchering it. Tell our audience how they can get your book and follow the work that you do.
Yes, you can get my book on Amazon. You can get the book through my website, drantone.org. Antoine is Antone. Doctor is drantone.org. You can get it in your local bookstores. And if they don't have it, they will order it for you. You can visit my page as well. I respond to questions. My page is Dr. Antoine Because We Care. That's my Facebook page.
Well, Doctor, I think this is the first time of many that you're going to be on with us. You know, if I had the power, what I would love to do, I would love to set up a debate with you and every governor who wants to legalize this poison in their state. I really would. Wouldn't you, Sharon?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I'll be glad to be there and to discuss the facts and, you know, especially how they should carry the message, because it can be harmful just the way they carry the message if they trivialize or minimize the effects.
Doctor, we got to run. Dr. Antoine Kanamugire, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the Conservative Commandos. Take care. God bless. God bless you for what you're doing.
Thanks a lot.
And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. Sharon and I will be back with more right after this break.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. Buyyourtimeshare.com. That's buyyourtimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Well, Sharon, we've had another very interesting show, great guests. I want to thank you for sitting in today as my co-host to be the anchor when I get emotional about things. Please tell our audience how they could follow what you do.
Well, they can always find me at SharonAngle.com, and they can find our latest documentary, Not on My Watch, at GetTrilogy.com. But I want to thank our guests, those guests that make this show a really interesting and great show. And our first guest, of course, was Curtis Houck. He is the managing editor at Newsbusters, and he is exposing the CNN's Wolf Blitzer for not being a newsman. Our second guest, Cherylyn Harley LeBon, we want to thank her for being here. She's a lawyer and a strategist who talked to us about the attack on for-profit colleges and how it's getting ugly. And finally, our last guest, Dr. Antoine Kanamugire, who came on to talk about the 21 unspoken truths about marijuana. And of course, anyone who's had any close personal experience with what marijuana does gets emotional, Rick.
This blows my mind. Polls say that nearly 70% of Democrats favor legalization. Political consultants claim it is impossible to win the Democrat presidential nomination without supporting legalization. We have a problem in this country, Sharon Angle.
Yes, we do.
But for right now, we are out of time. We got to run. We got to go. Take care. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.
My healthcare costs were going to double this year.
Doubled.
It was down to healthcare or my student loans.
I found a better way.
It's neighbors helping neighbors.
Liberty Health Share. It's freedom from insurance. At Liberty Health Share, we support each other and keep health costs down. We're changing the way you're paying for health care.
This is the way it should be.
We're all in this together.
We're changing the way you pay for health care.
The movement to help each other is growing.
Liberty Health Share.
This is the way it should be.
This is how I make a difference.
Healthcare costs are skyrocketing. The third-party pay system is the culprit. It's taking money out of our pockets. Liberty Health Share has solved that issue by being self-pay patients sharing our medical bills. Liberty Health Share is a grassroots movement all across America where people are abandoning the insurance model and instead are meeting each other's costs in community with one another.
So, all the crazies like Bill Nye the Science Guy, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and others turned out to the South by Southwest Festival in Austin this weekend, and some of the things they said were absolutely outrageous. We'll take a look at all of that, plus Beto prepares to run for president, and we'll take a look at the movie Captain Marvel. Was it worth seeing? Was all the controversy a drawback leading into it? We'll take a look. I'm Bobby Eberly. This is a 13-minute news hour.
The United States of America.
Okay, we're going to start with Bill Nye the Science Guy, because if there's anything he isn't, it's a science guy. He's a typical left-wing radical that got popular, and now he is milking it for everything he can. So he was at South by Southwest in Austin this weekend, and he said some pretty bizarre stuff, but it's not even the most bizarre that we'll get into for the show. But he made a guest stop at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's presentation, and he's a big fan. He says she gets it. And I just want to, here's a tweet that he posted after the show. He said, AOC gets it. She sees the fear is dividing us. We can address income inequality. We can address climate change if we get together and get to work. So it's all the fact that we just are not together. You know, it's not the fact that their policies are outrageous, that they'll bankrupt the country, that they'll lead to socialism, which leads to poverty and corruption and, you know, everything else that destroys, you know, the American will and the American spirit and individualism and things like that. That doesn't matter. It's just, it doesn't work because we're not all getting together. So I want to play a couple little clips from him and just see what you think. Here's the first one.
As you may know, I'm a white guy. I belong to 2 unions.
Wow.
But I think the problem on both sides is fear.
Yep.
People are afraid, people of my ancestry are afraid of having to pay for everything when as immigrants come into this country.
Okay, so he's complaining, about his white privilege, that this gives him a disadvantage all of a sudden. So maybe we shouldn't even, address what he said. But he said that, people like him, whites, are concerned that their money will be going to, to immigrants and people like that. So, it's just outrageous because it's like anyone who has a brain, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, brown, it doesn't matter. You're concerned if your tax dollars are going to support people that are doing illegal activities. You're concerned if your money is just wasted because taxes are supposed to be going to American citizens who are covered under the American Constitution, not people who are here illegally. So it's just logical to be concerned about where your money is going. But he phrases it in this terms of this racist, whites don't want immigrants. I mean, give me a break. I mean, if that's not fear, and fear mongering, I don't know what is. But then he adds this other little bit.
When we address climate change, we're going to have clean water, access to the internet, and renewable electricity for everyone on Earth. Let's go.
Okay, so according to him, climate change is about clean water, renewable energy for all, and free internet. So, I guess the people, living in huts in Africa or something are going to have their little Mr. Fusion instead of a campfire. And they'll all be, chatting online, posting stuff on Instagram because we've got free internet in all the villages and, all the rainforests and everywhere. But I mean, that's part of climate change is internet access for all. But, that's just the lead-in. That's just a sampling of some of the stuff he said. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she went off the deep end. I didn't think it could get any deeper. And, people are always talking about how, the right is just mystified by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. They don't know what to think of her, and that's why they cover her all the time. I cover her because it's just amazing that when you think you've reached a level of stupid, it just keeps going down. And you're just wondering, how low can it get before people just, all people scratch their head and say, this lady's insane. But she had just a number of little sound bites that were just golden, and I want to go over a few. Here's the first one.
Emphasis in democratic socialism is on democracy, and it's not about, it's just as much a transformation about bringing democracy to the workplace so that we have a say and that we don't check all of our rights at the door every time we cross the threshold into our workplace.
All right, that one cracks me up because she talks about, democracy, socialism, democratic socialism is basically about democracy, which it's not. And, people don't want to check their freedom at the door. Yet, she's the same person that talks about the Green New Deal, which amounts to a massive government takeover of resources and tax dollars, making people less free. You have less money, so you have less freedom to buy what you want, yet according to the Green New Deal as well, you can't be eating burgers, you can't be flying on planes, you can't be driving cars. It's all about taking freedom away. So that doesn't even make sense what she's saying there. It runs completely contradictory to what she actually believes. And here's the next one.
We should not be haunted by the specter of being automated out of work, right? We should not feel nervous about the toll booth collector not having to collect tolls anymore. We should be excited by that. But the reason we're not excited by it is because we live in a society where if you don't have a job, you are left to die.
All right, so here she's talking about the, fearing automation, that we shouldn't fear automation. And it's only, human nature to fear something that may take your job away. And I mean, to me, that's just normal. If a computer or a robot's going to come in and do your job and you're out of a job, that's something that any normal person would be apprehensive about, but not her. And the reason is because there's jobs for all. She's promising wages for all, jobs for all, even if you don't want to work. So if a computer or a robot or some kind of automation comes in and takes your job, it's okay because jobs and work don't matter because the hardworking taxpayers are going to pay you anyway. If you can't work, we're going to pay you. If you don't want to work, we're going to pay you too. So, with her system, It doesn't matter. Don't fear automation, because you can sit on your butt and watch football all day long. You're going to get paid. It's all cool. So take a look at this one. This is a follow-up to those comments.
Bill Gates has talked about taxing robots at 90%. And what that means, what he's really talking about, is taxing corporations at 90%. But it's easier to say tax a robot.
All right, so there you go. We're going to tax robots. We're going to tax corporations at 90% to pay for all the people, that don't have jobs, that are just sitting around, that don't want to work. So how's that for the American dream? You have an idea, you build a company, it becomes successful, and you pay the vast majority of what the company makes, to the government. Does that sound like democracy? Does that sound like freedom to me? Does it sound like freedom to you? It's absolutely outrageous. And yet it's just soundbite after soundbite. And this is just a sampling. And this is why she gets the press coverage, at least from me, because I want to point out, so you can talk to your friends and say that this person who is embraced by, the media and Hollywood and the Democrats does not know what she's talking about. And the more she speaks, the better it is for us, because the policies are not, just outrageous. They're unsustainable, they're not doable, and they lead to a direction of the country that's totally counter to what we were formed on, the beliefs of individual freedom and liberty. Everything she espouses runs counter to that. So, all right, let's move on. So Beto was also there at South by Southwest. Elizabeth Warren was, a lot of people were. It just has turned into this collection of the left, to talk about all things leftist. But of course, he was there to promote a documentary that was done on his failed Senate campaign. So he's pushing that. But the real reason was, of course, because he's going to run for president. So here's a report from the Austin American-Statesman kind of on what he was doing there at the festival. All right, so this is under the title, "At Surprise South by Southwest Appearance, Beto Seems Poised to Make a White House Run." 10 days ago, O'Rourke, the former 3-term Democrat El Paso congressman, said he and his wife Amy made a decision about the 2020 presidential campaign. He told reporters after the screening, "I want to make sure I do it the right way and tell everybody at the same time, so I'll be doing that. I've got to be on the timeline that works for my family and for the country, so that's the timeline that we're on." So of course that means he's running, because you don't need a timeline to say you're not running. So it's just cheesy buildup. But the paper goes on and reports on Cynthia Cano, who was his deputy campaign manager, and here's what the story reported from her. "There's been an outpouring of speculation, excitement, and support from people across the country, everyone eagerly awaiting the news, many of us crossing our fingers and hoping that Beto decides to run," she wrote. "If you're on the edge of your seat about Beto's decision around a potential 2020 run for president, you're not alone." Oh my gosh, give me a break. So yeah, we're all hanging on the edge of our seats. Beto's going to announce, he's going to run, he's going to be embraced by the media, and he's just another in the long line of candidates on the left. Tear down the wall in El Paso, according to him, that dropped illegal immigration by 90%.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
In my new book, 50 Shades of Politics, which is a series of 100 short autobiographic essays about my political career and my personal life, one of the things I talk about is that Jim Adler, the current chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, who's raising hackles all over Washington with issuing over 80 subpoenas for his investigation of Donald Trump, was my roommate. We lived together for his years at college when we both went to Columbia. And before that, we were at Stuyvesant High School together. And after we left college, we continued to work very closely together, lived together for most of that period, because we're political allies and worked very hard on local politics. I ran Jerry's campaign for high school president, but also for district leader, which was the first office he was elected to when he was 22, and worked very closely with him in the early years of his political career. I like Jerry a lot, even though I've totally disagreed with his politics. He's very honest, he's very scrupulous, and very aggressive in his point of view. He does lack a sense of proportion or a sense of perspective. When he sees something, he goes for it, and he doesn't look at it in the context of history or the context of how people may be perceiving this or what other forces are to bear. It's kind of, if it's there, he's going for it. And he divides the world into right and wrong, and for him that means Democrat and everything else, liberal and everything else. And I think we can expect him to be ruthless in his attacks on Donald Trump. But I think we can also expect him to overreach, to go beyond what he should do, to be disproportionate in his response, so that people increasingly look at what he's doing and look at the problem he's addressing and say, wow, these are out of sync. He's going after people and doing things that are way beyond what should be going on in the normal course of our politics. So I think that that'll be the defect of the Democrats and the defect of my former roommate and former friend, who I still like a lot, Jerry Nadler.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
God bless the United States of America.
So now it's Movie Monday, and I want to talk about Captain Marvel, because this one it's an interesting movie, and really what I want to get to is the lead up to it, because I'm getting so frustrated about the left and, their rants on Trump and all this ideology when I just want to enjoy a movie. Brie Larson came out and was blasting that all the movie reviewers were white. I mean, I guess it's not possible that, more white men enjoy being movie reviewers, so they go into that career, than women or women of color or underrepresented groups. That's not possible, I guess, according to her. And then Samuel L. Jackson has been on a, anti-Trump rant for a long time now, and most recently, the past couple months, the profanities and everything directed at Trump has just been on and on. But so that, led to a distaste in a lot of people leading up to this movie. But let me just get to the movie, because I'm a huge Marvel fan. And, here is I want to put this up on the board, on the TV. This is our countdown to Avengers Endgame, because we have followed these movies. And if you see at the bottom, this is the list of movies if you want to get ready for Avengers Endgame. Not in release order, but in chronological order. My son posted this on Reddit, and it got some debate on some people thought the order might be needed to be changed. But this is the order we're watching it. So we saw Captain America, the first Avenger, and that leads to Captain Marvel because it's set in 1995. And so for a movie in the Marvel, cinematic universe, it's okay. It's definitely not one of the tops like Avengers or Iron Man. It seemed like all the top special effects people were working on Endgame because I felt the special effects were kind of weak here. And the storyline just seemed flat. There was no big character arc for our main character. She started out as a superhero and ended as a superhero. So it just didn't kind of work like that. But, we saw it. It was okay. Definitely not one of the top ones. But again, it's the controversy that led into this movie where you just want to say, hey, go plug the movie and stay out of politics, at least until the movie's done and you're not under contract or something, because it really just leads to people being turned off. And me as a big fan, that's not what I want to hear. So anyway, folks, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please jump in on the comments. Let us know what you think of the movie, AOC, science guy, whatever. But please leave your comments and please subscribe. I'm Bobby Eberly. This is a 13-minute news hour.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
In my new book, 50 Shades of Politics, which is a series of 100 short autobiographic essays about my political career and my personal life. One of the things I talk about is that Jerry Nadler, the current chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, who's raising hackles all over Washington with issuing over 80 subpoenas for his investigation of Donald Trump, was my roommate. We lived together for his years at college when we both went to Columbia. And before that, we were at Stuyvesant High School together. And after we left college, we continued to work very closely together, lived together for most of that period, because we're political allies, worked very hard on local politics. I ran Jerry's campaign for high school president, but also for district leader, which was the first office he was elected to when he was 22, and worked very closely with him in the early years of his political career. I like Jerry a lot, even though I've totally disagreed with his politics. He's very honest, he's very scrupulous, and very aggressive in his point of view. He does lack a sense of proportion or a sense of perspective. When he sees something, he goes for it, and he doesn't look at it in the context of history or the context of how people may be perceiving this or what other forces there are to bear. It's kind of, if it's there, he's going for it. And he divides the world into right and wrong, and for him that means Democrat and everything else, liberal and everything else. And I think we can expect him to be ruthless in his attacks on Donald Trump. But I think we can also expect him to overreach, to go beyond what he should do, to be disproportionate in his response, so that people increasingly look at what he's doing and look at the problem he's addressing and say, wow, these are out of sync. He's going after people and doing things that are way beyond what should be going on in the normal course of our politics. So I think that that'll be the defect of the Democrats, and the defect of my former roommate and former friend, who I still like a lot, Jerry Nadler.
My health care costs were going to double this year.
Doubled.
It was down to health care or my student loans.
I found a better way.
It's neighbors helping neighbors.
Liberty Health Share. It's freedom from insurance. At Liberty Health Share, we support each other and keep health costs down. We're changing the way you're paying for health care.
This is the way it should be.
We're all in this together.
Together.
We're changing the way you pay for health care.
The movement to help each other is growing.
Liberty
Health Share. This is the way it should be.
This is how I make a difference.
Healthcare costs are skyrocketing. The third-party pay system is the culprit. It's taking money out of our pockets. Liberty Health Share has solved that issue by being self-pay patients sharing our medical bills. Liberty Health Share is a grassroots movement all across America where people are abandoning the insurance model and instead are meeting each other's costs in community with one another.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes. Now, people say, why didn't you report it to the authorities? Well, they were the ones doing it.
The integrity of one man, one vote doesn't apply at the Texas state legislature. There is no way to know if your representatives are voting for themselves.
Department, a Republican reaches back to vote for Democrat Oliveira. Democrat Matt Reynolds votes for Republican England.
2 out of 3 voters nationwide believe that voter fraud is a serious problem in the U.S. today.
The process is rigged.
Both sides of the aisle are guilty.
Florida now has to tell the Department of Justice whether the state will comply with DOJ's demand to stop purging thousands of people from its voter rolls.
We have the sloppiest election system of any industrialized democracy.
Philadelphia flagged 50,000 duplicate registrations, so just think how many more slipped through.
It's almost impossible to detect. How do you get caught? You only get caught if you confess.
Election corruption is deeply embedded in America. Quote, election fraud is a crime that usually pays, unquote, writes Tracy Campbell in his book, Deliver the Vote, A History of Election Fraud, an American political tradition from 1742 to 2004. In 1742, the first Prime Minister of Britain in the American colonies, Robert Walpole, was forced to resign.
We have a right not to have our vote canceled out by someone who shouldn't be voting, someone who's an illegal alien, someone who's a felon not eligible to vote, someone who doesn't exist. If they vote, they cancel your vote out as much as if you're prevented from voting.
If this is going to be fixed, it's going to have to be a citizen effort. It comes down to, it's the same old question, if not now, when? If not us, then who?
This is huge. This is about the democracy and the principles of the United States of America. People say, but why you? Why you? Why not? And if it starts with a fireman, if it starts with a sanitation worker, if it starts with a teacher or a nurse or a caretaker of the elderly, then so be it. It's got to start somewhere. But it's time we come together and fix this problem once and for all.
There is no serious person out there who would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
Serious allegations of voter fraud, the claims raising questions about the
Commerce Secretary Ron Brown and 32 others were on a military plane that crashed today in a violent storm. There are no known survivors at this time.
The U.S. Army was funded by the evil entity.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
The process is rigged.
People die and fall for the right time.
So it's incredibly important now that we draw a line and say, not on our watch.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.